Supreme Court of the United States is taking up Hawaii's ban on firearms on private property. This applies to specific places that are open to the public, like stores and hotels. So let's bring in CBS News legal contributor Jessica Levinson. Jessica, thanks for your time today. What are the arguments in this case?
So another Second Amendment case dealing with what exactly the text of that law prohibits and applying the court's new standard from 2022. The court basically said when we look at laws like Hawaii's law, which, as you said, says that when it comes to private property that's open to the public, the property owner has to give express consent to walk in with a gun. When it comes to these types of laws, here's how we analyze them. We look at the text of the Constitution, the text of the Second Amendment, and then we look at our nation's history and tradition. And a lot of what we hear this morning is trying to figure out what is our nation's history and tradition. And there's, interestingly, a great deal of discussion about property rights. What do private property owners really have the ability to say when it comes to whether or not somebody's going to walk onto their property with a firearm?
Yeah. The court also handed down some decisions today. Did any of them surprise you, and which ones?
So not surprising, in part because these are the smaller cases, which I think it's really important to acknowledge were all unanimous, meaning we tend to talk about those cases that are really contentious, where sometimes there's a 6-3 or 5-4 split. Yeah. But a lot of the cases dealing with, for instance, there was a case dealing with federal civil procedure, with restitution, with affidavits. What type of affidavit do you need to, if any, do you need to file for a type of medical malpractice case in federal court? Those were all unanimous. We tend to forget that the court does agree on a great deal of the cases that it hands down.
Yeah, good to know that there are some unanimous decisions out there. Jessica, okay, the biggest decision that so many people are waiting on, because I know you said those three were smaller cases. This one's big, though, and it's a Supreme Court's decision on the legality of President Trump's tariffs. Can you break down that case for us?
Absolutely. So we're waiting to hear whether or not the court thinks that the president has the power under this 1970s federal statute, IEPA, which doesn't use the word tariff and no president has ever used to try and impose tariffs. Does it in fact give the president the power to impose these tariffs? It's really a matter of statutory interpretation. It's not like the case we were just talking about, the gun control case. That's a big constitutional case. The tariff case is all about the specific language of the statute and what it allows a president to do, obviously with huge implications for our nation's economy and for the power of any president. We're waiting on that. And then tomorrow is going to be another big day, speaking of the power of the president, where there'll be oral arguments about what exactly this for-cause standard in the Federal Reserve Act provides, meaning if a president wants to fire a member of the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve, he can only do that for cause. But what is included in the for cause standard? It sounds minor, but a really big case dealing with the power of the presidency.
And we know you, we watch them all for us. Jessica Levinson, thank you so much for your time.